Alright guys, not going to lie, parts of all three of those games I was zonked out in. But at the end of the day, three teams that lost have a lot of things to address, and that's what we're going to get into this one. With all that said though, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Let's get this thing going.
Looking around, pressure in his face, thrown in. Dontavian Wicks lost his shoe.
Showing those fourth down executions, especially the one to ice the game.
Yeah, I mean, the whole day, guys were making plays, and that's what we needed. We knew coming into it what kind of matchup it's going to be.
Here comes the blitz. Well, you saw it, Tony. There's Pickens, who pirouettes around the defender and takes it past Edwards. Oh, my gosh! What a leap that was.
Chances of making the playoffs. Why was it so important for you to come back and play tonight?
We're getting paid a lot of money to play a kid's game. I love playing. I just want to put on a show for the fans, be out there with my guys, go out and play well.
From the city of Detroit on Thanksgiving, we bring you a great matchup as the Lions play host to the Packers, the NFL on Fox, and we say... McManus is into it, up and through. Just barely gets it off. Run to Jacobs. Good move. Jacobs breaks free into Lions territory, and he's down inside the 4. Looking, floating for the corner. He is! Is he in? The Wildcat getting the snap. He gets it. Looking to run. Touchdown, Detroit. Here's Love. Looking corner. Throwing that way. It is caught by Romeo Doubs. Touchdown.
Try to create a little space.
Blitz again. Williams. He breaks the tackle. Jameson Williams. How did he do that? Touchdown, Lions. Love. Loads up. Going deep. Christian Watson down there. He's got it. Touchdown, Packers. Can't find anyone else. Throws and it's caught for a touchdown. Isaac Tesla.
Pass offense.
2nd and 5. Love. Quick hitter. It's caught by Doubs. It is recovered.
Wide open.
On the fake, Love throwing it. Wicks makes the catch. Lunging. He's in. Number 2 for Packers send the blitz. Picked up. Goff on the move. Jameson Goff zips over the middle. Good catch by Jameson Williams. Breaks free. Williams. And the kick is up and good.
And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed Thanksgiving, had a great meal, or if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, at least watch some of this football. As y'all just saw, the Packers and Lions go at it. I'll get you guys all you need to know from this game, as well as the next 2 games. We'll show you guys the highlights from. Obviously, the big things, hopefully, were covered in the intro. But anyways, playoff picture obviously starting to become very, very relevant. Again, all 6 of these teams actually only have 5 games left on their schedule. And before Sunday, there'll be teams that only have 4 games left. It's crazy. We're getting starting to creep up on that home stretch of the season. But obviously, with Thanksgiving being a week later than, again, most years-ish, I don't know, the calendar is always pretty weird. We do have teams already playing through 12 games. We'll talk about who they're playing next and stuff. But as you guys did see, you saw the Packers get an absolutely monster win over the Lions here in Detroit on a short week, as last week they knocked off the Vikings 23-6. This week they closed out a big-time game here against the Lions 31-24. Obviously, they took a 10-point lead at multiple points in this game. Were able to get some field goals and held the Lions to serve only what they scored. Whatever, though, it's basically how math works. They played the math game. They were able to get up by 10 points. They had a huge 4th down conversion with Dontavian Wicks to end this game. And now they have they complete the season sweep over the Lions. After that, those Lions had beaten them like 2 or 3 or 5 straight times, something like that. I think actually might have been. No, 3 of the 4 a couple times. And it's now the second. 2 out of the last 3 years they have beaten the Lions on Thanksgiving. They now moved to 8-3-1. Now tied technically for the second best record in the conference. We'll see what happens today. But as y'all know, the Packers next week will be hosting the Bears in Lambeau in a monster game. That game should be insane. I think that's going to be at 1 o'clock, maybe, or is it Sunday night? No, it's going to be, yeah, that's very well going to be America's game of the week next week, I think, right? NFL schedule, let's see. What do we got? We'll talk about all this in a little bit. But week 14, we got, yeah, that's America's game of the week right there. That's going to be a hell of a game, guys. And Bengals-Bills in the early window should be interesting, too. But, yeah, we have a big slate this next week. But, yeah, that's going to be a huge game. Honestly, though, for the Packers, this is probably about as good of a win as they could get. Meanwhile, for the Lions, they've dropped to 7-5, and they have now lost, what is it now? What are they, 6-3? or they were 5-2, right? They've now lost. They've struggled to again get some things going. They've lost now 3 of their last 5 games, something like that. But again, everyone's talking about the Cowboys and again that monster game they have next Thursday night. When we look at last year, they played pretty similar in terms of the actual performance against the Bears last year. Fortunately, they won because the Bears had Matt Eberflus as their head coach that year. They played that next Thursday night against the Packers, who are last year are arguably pretty decently better than this Cowboys team this year. Maybe not on offense, but overall probably. So the Lions took care of business in that game. Obviously, this Lions team definitely worse, but also got to remember this team hasn't lost back-to-back games in 3 years. They have a week to prepare for that thing. I would be surprised if they don't bring out one of their better performances of the season. With that said, we'll get to that in a week. For the Packers, though, takeaways for them, I kind of already got through the major stuff. Jordan Love, though, second straight Thanksgiving he's played in, or third straight, actually. He wasn't great last year against the Dolphins, but second Thanksgiving in Detroit, he was even better than he was the first time. Obviously, that 51-yard bomb to Christian Watson, which was, again, the main highlight from him. But he was very, very good on third down. He was very comfortable. He put his offense in the greatest, very good plays. They definitely did their due diligence. Obviously, there were definitely some plays that came down to the wire or the offensive line wasn't set. But I really like the fact that, again, they really tried to get their best play out there, which for a lot of teams, like, yeah, just make the play you need to make the right read. But, again, I think, especially with Matt LaFleur, props to him because I think he put Jordan Love in a really good situation in those third downs. That's why they were pretty successful in that spot. That's also why they were able to, again, prolong some of those drives. Running game was one of the better games we've seen out of Josh Jacobs this season. 83 yards, very consistent day from him. Amanda Wilson only got 4 carries, but was somewhat serviceable in that. Other than that, though, this offensive line did a very good job getting vertical displacement, something we have not seen, again, really I've just seen on occasion this year from them, which, again, is something they're definitely going to want to improve on as the season goes on. Dontavian Wicks had 2 touchdowns. One of them was on 4th down. Obviously, a beauty of a touchdown where he made that insane catch. That was just an absolutely crazy play from him. He hit himself a game. Christian Watson was their big play guy. Obviously, that last third down was a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, he did what he definitely needed to in this one. Luke Musgrave had a big-time catch earlier in the game. Romeo Doubs caught a touchdown, did fumble as well. Josh Jacobs obviously had a really nice catch as well. But at the end of the day, guys, you look at those Dontavian Wicks plays, the Christian Watson touchdown, those are just the big plays you're going to have to get from these receivers. Even if Romeo Doubs, again, had one of his worst games of the season, it's good to see, again, all these other guys stepping up like they should. But offensively, very nice performance by them. They couldn't have played, again, a heck of a lot better than they did in this one. Defensively, there are definitely some issues I had for them. First things first. I think if Amon-Ra St. Brown was out there the entire game, again, as you might expect, Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams would have been punished a little bit more because they were playing very, very soft in zone coverage. Something they're not really usually having to do, but considering they had Jameson Williams to worry about, especially on those crossing routes, they were still burned by a couple times. That was definitely something that I think Jared Goff would have exploited a lot more if they had Amon-Ra out there, but they didn't have many guys creating a ton of separation, so you saw where he got there. Also, really love the brackets with Javon Bullard. He's not a guy you really want to put in that physical situation all the time. He was kind of deprioritizing some of his more useful things he does in this defense, especially in terms of, again, those boundary concepts that they usually play in. So I was a little bit perplexed by what Jeff Hafley was doing there. But Carrington Valentine had his best game this season. Edgerton Cooper was locked down in terms of making tackles. Micah Parsons had a monster game, as you need him to do on Thanksgiving, 2.5 sacks. He now has 12 and was his first 4 years of his career, some sort of record he set. I don't really know. Nazir Stackhouse had a really good game. He was pretty good on the run stopping downs he was put out there. Rashawn Gary, I think, definitely had one of his worst Thanksgivings. Last year with the Packers, he had a very good game against the Dolphins. This year, not so much. Brandon McManus was pretty good. Moving over to Detroit, what you saw from them was Jared Goff again not being able to handle the pressure. He took 3 sacks. One of them wasn't the end of the world, but there was one blindside sack where, again, if he just kind of had the tight end chip there, whoever was going to be there, I think it would have been a very good play. Again, would have given him a lot more time. On top of that, he just missed a couple of throws. Again, he only had 6 incompletions, but there are definitely some throws he could have hit as well. And I'm just not saying like he actually missed the throws, but he also missed some of the reads on those too. But overall, Jared Goff, you can't really blame him too much for this game. He had a pretty good day, way better than he had a couple of years ago when he had 4 turnovers or something. Jahmyr Gibbs couldn't really get many things going. It was either him not hitting the hole at the right time, trying to bounce it outside, or just completely making the right read, but maybe not, again, on the same time. Not exactly like he didn't time it up well, it's just he wasn't quick enough, to be honest with you guys, which is definitely a rarity for him. David Montgomery was definitely the more powerful back in this game. He had a touchdown, obviously, in the Wildcat. Jameson Williams had a big-time day. He definitely stepped up with Amon-Ra going out with an ankle injury, which I think is a huge issue for them because he is basically the entire offense when it comes down to, again, their base plays. Isaac DeSlaw was pretty good. He had a nice touchdown. Tommy Kennedy, I guess, was out there. But, again, they don't really have a tight end. Anthony Ferguson had his first catch since 2022. That's kind of insane to say. Jahmyr Gibbs got me some fantasy points there, but obviously you're not gonna get 55 fantasy points out of Jahmyr Gibbs every week. So I'm not trying to take this in fantasy fashion, but kind of relating back to the Lions here, you're not gonna win games like that every week. Defensively, though, honestly, the secondary wasn't really too surprised how they played. Brian Branch had a hell of a game. But just again, the safeties aren't really there right now. Obviously, Brian Branch is a safety, but he was basically playing in the boxes the entire game because they didn't really have many guys making plays against the run. Jack Campbell, I think, was solid in coverage, still didn't do enough. Alexander Loney has really proved to be that cover linebacker that, again, he's always been solid in coverage. I don't think he's as good as some people think he is. This game kind of proved, again, how that's part of his game's gone this season. Aiden Hutchinson didn't get a ton of pressure. They really didn't, again, they don't really only have one guy that can get pressure. That obviously is Aiden Hutchinson. That's a monster issue they're going to have to improve on. Roy Lopez at least was somewhat decent against the run. DJ Reed had a tough game with those pre-snap alignments he had to work with. Amika Robinson, I think, had a pretty good game, though. Honestly, guys, when it came down to this defense, they just didn't really... they were just kind of a step behind, and there's going to be some games that are going to be like that, especially on a short week here. But again, at least at home, I don't really see that as an excuse. The biggest things I saw, though, is again the fact that, again, we look at third down. The Lions weren't bad, per se, but again, the third down situations where they kind of needed to have it, they weren't always in the best spots. Also, the Packers were money on fourth down, and they had some big-time third down conversions as well. Other than that, though, some bad losses by the Lions, as well as Packers being able to hold serve. We're able to get them this huge-time W, complete the season sweep. I'll talk more about both these teams as we look towards the playoffs and this playoff picture probably on Wednesday. Again, I know that's a long time away, but we had a lot of other things to settle before then. But when it comes down to the Lions, this game against the Cowboys is probably going to be decide their playoff hopes. Maybe not, again, imminently, but something close to that. And honestly, the Packers are in a great spot right now as well.
Who rallied his team from 11 down Sunday for a much-needed win against Indianapolis. But Dak and Dallas had an epic comeback of their own. For the Chiefs defense against Indianapolis. 3rd and 4, again pressure, and it's picked. Because of the blitz, they pick it off. Pick up of 10, now over to Rice on the run with a blocker in front. Wiley in front, and Rice is free to the end zone for a Kansas City touchdown. 3rd and 10. Going to the end zone, and he's down. It's Lamb who converts for the 3rd time on 3rd down. Mahomes looking in the end zone. Perfect. And he goes to Kelsey for the touchdown. Here's the kick by Aubrey, and sits out this play. 2nd and 1. They've got the first, and look out. Here goes Davis. Malik Davis to the end zone. Toss it to Wiley, and he picks up.
If I know what you're doing, I'm going for it.
Kick is good. Again, there's Mahomes rolling in trouble. Now throws, and is pulled down for the catch. The touchdown by Rice. Goal. Can they convert here? Prescott looking around in trouble. He flips it to Williams for the touchdown. Prescott, 2nd and 3rd options. He's looking, has to release it, and it's caught. It's Pickens.
People will remember us from here on out.
Prescott going deep. He's got a man waiting for it. It's Lamb. Here's the fake handoff, the rollout, the throw, and almost intercepted. Yeah, here they come. Got near him. Pass caught. Pickens. Ball's on the ground. Oh, picked up by Turpin. And Aubrey chips it home. And Dallas leads by. Quinnen Williams tripped him up, but he's still going and heaving it down the field. Wide open is Worthy. Unbelievable play by Mahomes. Mahomes going to the end zone. Back in the end zone. Caught. Tiptoe. Touchdown. Wow. Hollywood Brown. Straight pass play. Slap pass is on the money as Dak is able to hit Pickens.
And in the second game on Thanksgiving Day, as the Cowboys always have, they had one of their better performances in years as they absolutely, again, made a statement here against the Chiefs. It obviously wasn't a blowout of any proportion, but they had a bunch of monster plays in the second half that led them to this comeback victory. Technically, I guess. I don't know. They were down in the first half for a little bit there. But now, they moved 6-5-1 with their 3rd straight win. They have not lost a Thanksgiving game since they had that crazy loss to the Raiders back in 2021. They are now in a decent spot if they, again, with that monster game against Detroit next week. That's what I'll say with them, though. Obviously, that game will be on a Thursday night. Chiefs fall 6-6. They have never been even close to this bad through 12 games. Their worst record through 12 games under Mahomes was 8-4, which was, I think, maybe they've done it a couple times, but if I'm not mistaken, the last time was 2023, and they finished 11-6. So, in that fashion for the Chiefs, if we look at their schedule, they have 5 games. 3 of them will be tough. That's pretty simple there. The other 2, yeah, they're going to win those ones. But, again, we'll talk about, again, the reality in a minute. But, yeah, they have some pretty good defenses here to worry about. Before the Chiefs in this game, they fall back to 6-6. They've never been this bad. The last time they were this bad was in the midst of a, no, not the midst. It was the end of a stretch where they lost 6 of 7 back in 2017. They ended up running the table that year, collapsing the Titans in the wild card. That was the last year with Alex Smith, and obviously he ended off to Mahomes, and the rest is history, I guess. But maybe not, because the Chiefs aren't looking too hot right now. But obviously next week they're again must win, to say the least, against the Texans, as the rest of their games will be. As we look at the playoff picture for the Chiefs, they are currently needing a lot of things to happen. I will say though, they would like the Texans to beat the Colts. No. They probably want the Colts to win this week, to be honest with you guys, against the Texans. Because if that happens, they have a shot to, again, get a game up on them with a tiebreaker. Again, pretty simple. They need the Texans to lose this week. And again, there's a lot of other things that need to happen. But for the Chiefs, I guess we'll just get their takeaways right now. It's pretty simple. They're going to have to run the table. And with this guy, again, it's very real that could happen. But this Chiefs team has not been good whatsoever this season. They put themselves in the spot where they do need to win every single game the rest of the year. And also things need to happen. If I had to guess, the Jags or the Chargers are going to just need to fall off a cliff, which obviously could very well happen. Maybe not with their schedules as of right now, but again, 8-4 isn't, again, a true lock to make the playoffs. It's a very good spot to be in, but we've seen crazier things happen, as the Jaguars were 8-3 back in 2023, and you saw what happened. Bills, yeah, I think they're in a good spot, too. They should be pretty happy with how Thanksgiving went. But anyway, for the Chiefs, on the other hand there, Mahomes, second most touchdowns thrown in the Thanksgiving debut with 4. I think this is a little bit skewed. He did not have his best game. He made a lot. Again, there were several third downs where he needed to get the ball out of his hands, and that just did not happen. I'm not acting like these receivers had a great game either, but at the same time, he's just got to make these plays when he needs to. Obviously, though, he did put them in a spot to win the game at the end of it. But the defense just couldn't get the ball back. Obviously, Kareem Hunt had a decent game. I was a little bit concerned to see him not get a couple of those third downs, but I mean, when you don't have an actual running back, it's kind of hard to win games. That's something they should absolutely look forward to in the offseason, but that's going to be something hopefully they don't have to worry about for a while now. Mahomes had 3 scrambles for like 2 first downs, something like that. Rashee Rice caught 2 touchdowns. He had obviously the opening one on the screen pass bubble, whatever the hell you want to call that one. Then the other one, I honestly kind of forgot about. I know that was on the 4th and 3, right? Xavier Worthy, again, 42-yard catch. Other than that, was held in check. He does need to be, again, realistically, guys, he's their only downfield threat. I'm going to continue to talk about it. They do not have an actual number 1 receiver in the team. Rashee Rice is great underneath, but that's all he can do. He's not a true receiver. Xavier Worthy, he can be a downfield threat, but really is never, I don't think will ever have the true route tree and the reliability to be that guy who can just get, like, you're always going to get the ball to. Travis Kelce hasn't really been great since 2022, which is probably a larger issue we'll talk about maybe at the end of the week, of the fact that, again, he's not, again, without him being that legit guy. Since 2022, this offense really hasn't been, again, that group. Hollywood Brown, obviously, is probably the most well-rounded receiver, but then again, he really has never been that, like, again, dependable player. And obviously, Isaiah Pacheco made his return. That was fun to see. But again, honestly, this offensive line getting injured kind of hurt them as well in terms of what they could run in terms of the multiplicity, again, against the Cowboys defense. But overall, Chiefs offense wasn't the biggest culprit in this game. It was really the fact that this defense made a lot of penalties and realistically never was in, the right rhythm. A guy like Shamari Conner, who I think was probably one of the more bigger contributors in this defense in this game, really was never set in coverage. Jalen Watson, again, he's probably the best inside leverage corner in the league so far this season. The fact he got beat on that was a crucial mistake on his part. Nick Bolin was awesome against the run, but realistically in coverage was a complete donut. Trent McDuffie had his worst game of the season by far. And then you had guys like, again, Jaden Hicks not really doing a lot. A lot of these guys in the secondary, they were getting targeted a lot, and they were not making the plays they needed to. I will say Chris Jones, Drew Tranquill kind of held up in terms of what they were supposed to do. But again, at the end of the day, guys, this defense, I think, was put in a situation where they were on the field too much. I would have liked a little more aggression from that Chiefs offense, and just the fact, again, they really weren't able to establish a true grounding game was part of the reason I don't think the possession was truly balanced. Obviously, Dak threw a couple deep balls. If you put him in the MVP conversation, you're an absolute idiot. He does not deserve to be there. This team was 3-5-1 a couple of weeks ago, and just because they've gone on a little bit of winning streak here, especially, Super Bowl champs. Guys, the Chiefs and Eagles aren't even close to the same teams they were last year, whether it's the better or for the worst. So for that reason, again, Dak MVP talks, that's just ridiculous. You're a moron if you're talking about that stuff. But anyway, Javonte Williams was bad in this game. He had a really, really, again, crucial juke there to get the 8 yards that set them up for the game-clinching play. But realistically, guys, Javonte Williams did not have a good game whatsoever. Again, Malik Davis got 3 carries. He housed one from 40 yards out. That was pretty cool to see. CD had his best game of the season. Again, I keep seeing that first touchdown ran over and over again. That was a gross run on Trent McDuffie. I think that is a play that will probably be in a TikTok edit for the next 3 months. George Pickens, again, the insane hurdle there. If you would have, again, actually landed that, it would have been Probably one of the better plays of the season, but obviously George Pickens has been an absolute monster for them. My bad, Kenny George, guys. That's his new name. My bad about that. But anyway, offensive line, not really too much to talk about. I don't think they played that bad at all. I think, honestly, as a run blocking unit, they actually did do a good job. But Javonte Williams did not have his best game. Defensively, not too much to get into. They just really kind of held serve at the end of the day, similar to that. Packers defense, again, very similar, game paces for both these ones. Donovan Wilson had a good game. I'm not going to really talk about Deron Bland or Logan Wilson a lot. All I'm going to tell you guys is the reason this defense is better is because they have their two most talented defensive players on here. Siobhan Revel will be an all-pro corner in the next 3 years if he doesn't get injured. Jamar Van Overshin will be an all-pro linebacker if he doesn't get injured in the next 3 years. Those are the two most talented players in this defense. Quinn Williams, be damn, bro. He's awesome. I understand that. But these are your two best defensive players, and they're going to continue to, again, emerge and be even better and better. That's why this defense is a lot better. I'm being completely honest with you guys. Obviously, they're playing a lot more consistent, being more competent, but at the same time, those two guys make a hell of a big difference for your defense. Cowboys at over 450 yards of offense. They did control the clock. I don't think this does, again, justice there. They weren't money on third down. That last drive, they obviously were, but again, the fact they were, again, 6 to 7 on yards per play. And just overall, again, the fact that the Chiefs just could not sustain some certain drives and also 10 penalties. Again, those are the big differences in this one. If you're a Chiefs fan, you should definitely be frustrated, but at the end of the day, you guys know where you guys are, need to be, and we'll see if you guys can actually do it. I don't doubt it, but we'll just have to wait and see for that.
The family dogs right around the TV with all of you settled in with family and friends on Thanksgiving night 2025. It's 39, chilly in Baltimore. And McPherson, not to drive. Derrick Henry running left. Here's Henry in the open field. Let go! Henry! Home! Touchdown Ravens! Safety heads deep. 3rd and 9 for Lamar. In trouble. And he lost the ball. It's caught out of the air. Burrow. Inside throw incomplete. Tried to get it to Gesicki. William Wagner at 2nd and 9. Look deep. Was covered. Throws in the middle. It's caught. Likely on the run. Oh, Isaiah Likely hurling his way home. Did he hold on long enough? Burrow. Time. Deep shot for Chase. Got it. With the coverage from Humphrey. After 24. High snap. Good job by Rico to get that right here on NBC and Peacock. A couple of timeouts. Lamar Jackson from the 20. Wants something deep. 33, Evan McPherson. 4-4 tonight in the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow out to his right, to the end zone. One hand brought in by Hudson. The 18, pitching to the edge to Keaton Mitchell. To the end zone, touchdown. He's out right now. Pressure comes, picked up. Burrow, touchdown. But there is a chance. Henry, upfield, Derrick Henry. In the open space, Derrick Henry. Receptions. 3rd and 9. Lamar Jackson. That ball got hit. That ball's intercepted. It's Demetrius Knight. 8 drilled it. 4th and 8. Again, the pressure comes. Jackson in the middle, knocked down. We got Burrow and really took the Bengals. Oh, first down. Flowers. Lost the football. That's a catch and a fumble. Scooped up by Cincinnati. For field goal number 6. McPherson.
And the game that wrapped up Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving night was a pretty big disappointment from one team. But the other team, the Bengals, kind of had a game that they've been waiting to see for a while now as their defense forced 5 turnovers. Maybe not forced, but they were the team that that benefited from 5 turnovers is probably the best way to put it. As they move to 4-8, keep their 1% playoff, 2%, my bad, playoff chances alive. The thing about this team is, I don't know if the Steelers are going to finish under 500. But, again, there's a shot they can still, again, catch the Ravens in this division. Because you look at it, they play them again this season. And I don't see the Ravens beating Pittsburgh twice. So, if we think about that, and maybe they're already going to have to run the table, there's something there. But the realistic possibility of them catching the Steelers is a little bit far-fetched, because considering they just lost by double digits to them. They lost by 22 against them on the road a couple weeks ago. And on top of that, I don't think the Steelers have lost a game in the division yet either. So, yeah. Bengals, look at their schedule. Yeah. At the Buffalo next week, that's going to be not great. But Ravens, we know they can win that. Dolphins probably should win that. And then the Cardinals and Browns are both one games they should win. So, Bengals, realistically, despite this team not being great, and obviously we're 3-8 just before this game, there's definitely a shot they can do something. Will it actually happen? Probably not. And honestly, they're not going to make the playoffs, obviously. They're done. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, though, they're not 4-8. They got Buffalo next week. Ravens, very disappointing performance, but realistically, I wasn't too surprised by this. Not in terms of getting the actual final score, but how this team played overall. I was kind of trolling with them in the top 10 for a while there, but again, they were on a 5-game winning streak. Again, the fact again the teams they played were just kind of ass. It kind of tells you where they were. Again, their only really true win was against the Bears, so their defense played out of their minds, and offensively they sustained drives, which is something they have not done with Lamar so far this season because he has been injured. He should not be out there playing, but hey. Contract and all. Joe Burrow again, sending you guys into this thing. Again, there's definitely he's probably got to play, but still, Ravens are now 6-6. Next week they will be playing the Steelers. Their next 5 games, I would honestly not be surprised if they dropped all 5 of these. I'm being dead honest with you guys there. I could see them upsetting the Patriots here. I just have a feeling about that. I'd be shocked if they win in Green Bay. That's going to be on a Saturday if I had to guess. Yeah, Ravens are not in a good spot. This was a game they had to win. If we're looking at the big picture, they should have been 7-5. Again, keep pace with the Steelers in the division. They're probably not going to win in Pittsburgh. So if you look at this Ravens team, they're in a whole lot of trouble right now. But for the Bengals in this one, Joe Burrow on his return wasn't very accurate. He did miss a lot of throws. Again, the completion percentage is like a little bit inflated in terms of how bad it is, but he definitely didn't look great. I think a lot of people are like kind of overreacting to his performance. But at the end of the day, he made 3 touchdowns. He took care of the ball. You're not really going to ask for anyone else, again, especially in his first game in 9 weeks. Chase Brown continues to trend up. He continues to give you solid runs. He breaks tackles a lot more than he has in terms of, again, the next-gen stats, at least recently. And on film, he just looks a lot more fresh, even though he's on a short week. A little bit odd there. But anyway, Samaje Perine, again, first game in a little bit now. He had, again, a serviceable performance. Jamar Chase had a big-time play. Again, overall, was the only guy out there who was actually a receiver, so that was pretty cool. Chase Brown, again, he had a couple of catches. Honor Yosifas had a nice touchdown. Mitchell Tinsley almost made a crazy touchdown catch. Gesicki, I guess, caught a couple passes. I don't really remember. But honestly, this offensive line held up really well. I was pleasantly surprised that this Bengals offense was able to play together. But realistically, I do need to see this against the Bills defense next week. We'll see if they can run the ball. I expect them to run for over 160 yards at the very least. For this defense, they're going to need to play out of their minds against the Bills next week. I don't think they're going to be nearly as good as the Texans were, but they have again, mini bye week to figure that out. Jordan Battle was played out of his mind. Geno Stone wasn't bad in coverage for once. Joseph Osai, I guess he's making plays. Cool. I think he had like 5 pressures. That might be a little bit inflated. It's somewhere near there. Miles Murphy was out there. Kind of shocked to see that. Demetrius Knight and again, Barrett Carter, those 2 rookies played pretty well. But in that, guys, defensively, they just kind of didn't suck, and they kind of let the Ravens make a lot of mistakes to win this one. So honestly, a lot better than what we've seen. Obviously, their defense is starting to trend up the past 3 weeks, which is a lot better than, again, what you might have expected them to be in this spot. Lamar was absolutely trash. I mean, usually you never want to say that, but he had 3 turnovers. He hasn't had 3 straight games without a touchdown since like I don't even know when. I don't think he's ever done this, but yeah. Again, if you look back at those, he's not quarterback. He's sort of comparisons in that when he was drafted. I mean, you obviously can be saying that right now. I'm obviously joking. He shouldn't have played in this game. He couldn't run the ball to save his life, which is obviously his biggest calling card and really the reason he's again considered one of the better quarterbacks, like even all time for a lot of people. But honestly, Lamar in this game, yeah, he just didn't look right at all. And obviously he missed a lot of throws. And the fact that Derrick Henry only got 10 carries, despite them really controlling the game for a little bit there, was a little bit bizarre. Obviously, he had a 20-yard that again kind of a race because it would have been 9 carries for 32 yards. So technically, if you look at the math, isn't very good. But at the end of the day, you look at this receiving game, Isaiah Likely was really the only guy getting open. He obviously had a freaky near touchdown, but before he fumbled it. Derrick Henry had a 44-yard catch in garbage time. Mark Andrews, I think, broke the franchise record for catches or something. I don't really know. Diop led them receiving yards. Zay Flowers had another bad game. Rashad Bateman I don't even know why he was running routes. He got injured. It was just a mess. Tez Walker, miscommunication on a deep ball. Again, that's what I got there. And offensive line wise, Tyler Linderbaum was bad. Both tackles got absolutely mauled at points too, which was kind of bizarre. Marlon Humphrey goes burnt toast. He did have a sack, but he was really good as a run stuffer in this game. Chidobe Awuzie got targeted way too much. Considering again the guy like Alohi Gilman was helping him out. Again, very tough game from him. Kyle Hamilton kind of was ineffective. My bad. Roquan Smith, Teddy Buchanan, I think held down the fort somewhat. Honestly, this defense wasn't even that bad. They were just put in a lot of different spots. They did hold them to 6 field goals, which is pretty insane. But again, shout out to Evan McPherson with that. But still, I was kind of like perplexed by that. Again, 5 turnovers though by the Ravens. Again, the Bengals had the ball for 39 minutes because they were pretty good on 3rd down overall. Again, they went 1 of 6 in the red zone though, which was again the big thing for that Ravens defense. They again still are obviously very good. The 3rd down conversion was a little bit concerning because they were on the field a lot. But at the end of the day, they kind of kept them this one for a little bit too long because obviously this offense wasn't going to be doing much for you. But at the end of the day, guys, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Get ready for that monster NFC seeding battle between the Bears and Eagles, division leaders. Bears obviously with a loss would move to second place technically, because again, you look at the playoff picture here. Eagles though, they're going to try to keep pace with the Rams, only a game back if I had to guess. We'll also have you guys the not playoff predictions, the Week 13 Sunday predictions sometime tomorrow, as well as the recap to that Friday game. That's all I got for you guys here from Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys for the recap of the again Black Friday game tomorrow, as well as the predictions for Sunday. A lot of things going on in the league right now. Playoff again push is starting to again really heat up.
Jackson Cooper clears the rebound. Here's